Hi everyone. This week for our summaries, I thought I would do a video, and this is just another way that you can do a summary for your students. It doesn't always have to be text word version, as I showed you last week with the LiveScribe versions. So I'm just doing this on my computer laptop. I usually do use a thing called a FlipMino little video camera, but mine's died, and this is the fourth different iteration of cameras I've tried tonight to get things working. I've been having a few technical gremlins today. So I find a video is a really good way of connecting with my students, and I used to do these at the beginning of every week to introduce the week to the students and what was coming up, and the students used to give me really good feedback on it. So this activity was about developing activities and creating your own voice online. And we had three activities that we looked at, and it went, the first one being a very you must do these, to a very saccharine sweet vomitous kind of approach, which most people found very difficult to read and cope with. But believe it or not, there are actually people out there who write in that manner, and they aren't even really aware that they write like that. So hopefully those three examples have given you a heightened awareness of the way that you are writing and the tone of your voice online. So it'd be good exercise to go back and see how you're writing. So that's really one of the main intents of that particular exercise. So some things to consider then when you're writing on your discussion boards and writing activities for your learners online. Who are actually your students? Do you have engineers? Are you working with community workers, social workers, art students? Different tones may be received differently. Different voice tones will be received differently by different audiences and processed differently. What is the activity you're asking them to do? Is it an icebreaker, or is it a very rigid, structured learning activity that really needs to occur in a certain manner? How long is the course that you have to do these things? So all of these are different things that need to be taken into account. You will notice that Frankie and I had 3 weeks ago, can you believe it's been 3 weeks already? Frankie and I had a lot more structured, formal tone with you in the first week, and then over time we have relaxed a bit, let our personalities come out more, a bit more of this. We're both loony, and you will have noticed, and that we are different people, and we have quite a different online voice to each other, but we have let that come out, and it builds a rapport with our learners, because we do have personalities, and that's important, because in our classrooms, in a face-to-face context, we have personalities, and we do let that come through, as do you. And it's important to have that come through online as well as people. Yeah? So that is important. So with activity number 3 in particular, I'd like to draw your attention to, is you actually manage to get through it without being physically ill or having a migraine or something like that. You will notice that there is far too much information in that activity. It was lengthy, and you can see there was actually a real lack of consideration, pedagogically speaking, from whoever wrote that exercise for the learners. And I don't know if they've actually really considered what they want their students to do there. If we put the ethical considerations aside about that bit with the weekend, which really should have gone maybe in the more of a social area, like the tea room or the social chit chat area, there was really, from an educational construct perspective, they could have really broken that probably up into a number of activities over a number of weeks, and really scaffolded the learning platform of that whole section. There was a lot of information in there for those poor students. It wasn't really clear what was expected of them, what, when, how, where, why, that kind of thing. So the middle activity really, and this happens every time with this particular exercise, the middle activity was really by far, for most people, not always, everyone, but by far, for most people, the preferred option. Why? It was shorter, it was clearer, it had an example, it was just a lot, the tone was more inviting without being over the top. There's just a lot more about it to like from both an educator's perspective and the learner's perspective, the reader. Really, I guess our online voice and our tone and the way we present information is really about a spectrum from, the really over-the-top, overbearing to the revoltingly nauseating, saccharine and sweet, hippie, revolting use of colours thing going on to the middle. And bottom line is, you can't please 100% of the people 100% of the time. And we have to really try find a middle ground of tone and really know who our learners are as well. Okay? So that's a balance as well. And when I say that, it means we need to know who our learners are, not about necessarily who we are and who we are assuming our learners are. That's also a bit of a trick sometimes as well. So we've also learned a bit about the use of colour. But don't shy away from using colour. Colour can actually be used to great effect, as can emphasis of bold, italics, underline, and changing font size. Okay, but it does need to be used discretion. But it can be used with a lot of power and to give impact. So do practice it, but get your colleagues to have a look at it. Okay, so hopefully we have increased your self-awareness of your own writing and the impact it can have online and how it's interpreted. We've all probably done stuff in writing in email or in other spaces online and had an impact on people to an extent or in a way that we're not even conscious of. So get in the habit of reviewing it and maybe having a peer or a colleague review it through the eyes of a student and get them to give you some feedback, and you can only get better. Good luck. Disappeared.